Today, I'll be taking a look at the Phineas and Ferb movie, Candace Against the Universe. I know this is a little different from what I usually do, but I wanted to experiment a bit more with my videos and see what sticks. Getting back to the main topic though, I felt that I needed to make a video on this movie, as I was waiting for this movie for a long time, as I'm a pretty big Phineas and Ferb fan growing up. Like many people my age, I watched the show religiously as a kid, and I loved how the show followed the same formula every episode but was still able to surprise and entertain you almost every time. So to put it simply, you could say I was a pretty big fan as a kid. But doesn't that mean you're biased and you're blinded by your nostalgia? Yes, that's true, my opinion might be a little biased due to my previous history with the show, but I'll try my best to be fair. The movie starts out with the usual occurrences of Phineas and Ferb. Candace finds the brothers building something and tries to bust them, but as usual, fails. Instead of letting it go this time, Candace tells the brothers how she truly feels and how miserable she has been the entire summer. And later on, we see her and Vanessa get abducted by aliens, where we come to realize that she is the chosen one and all the aliens praise her for that. While the rest of the gang at home realize that Candace has been abducted, they begin to chase after her with Dr. Doof, who is trying to find his daughter, Vanessa. When the gang finally finds Candace on the alien planet, we get the classic scene of, "I'm better off and happier here, and you guys should just leave." So Phineas and the gang are forced to leave. And this is when we get the big reveal of how the aliens don't really care about Candace, but only wanted the carbon dioxide she breathes out. This makes Candace not feel as special as everyone else, because everyone on Earth breathes out carbon dioxide. Realizing this, the aliens come to Earth, and then there's a big fight sequence, and of course everything ends up well for Candace and everyone, and then everything gets back to normal, and the usual story conclusion happens. And that's the story. Of course I skimmed over a lot of stuff of why the carbon dioxide was important and other details, but you get the gist of the story. After recapping the story, I feel like the plot was very mediocre, and at some points, kind of boring. The story was what you would see in any kid's movie, about how the main character feels better off by themselves or doing something else, because they don't quite fit in, but realizes at the end that the family is important, and she actually matters. I was never really gripped by the story, as it felt that this concept had already been done by Phineas and Ferb. An example of a very similar episode would be the episode Unfair Science Fair Redux Another Story. In this episode, Candace is unwillingly taken into space where a bunch of aliens look up to her as their leader or chosen one. Candace originally loves being the leader and feeling special, but ultimately decides against staying by herself. Do you see any similarities between these stories? Yes, they're not exactly the same, but they are similar enough to make the film feel redundant, as there are also many episodes of Phineas and Ferb of where they go to space or meet aliens. Basically what I'm saying is I was hoping to see much more original material for a feature film, like the movie Across the Second Dimension, as that film had such a great story. Overall, I was expecting a bit more. Now looking at the animation itself, I would say it is what you would expect from an average Phineas and Ferb episode. It looks okay, but there are some parts where it looks bad, and I mean real bad. Just look at this. I know I'm nitpicking certain frames, but come on, most of the animation was really simple. It didn't feel like something you would see in a movie. I know this movie was made for a streaming service and not for the theaters, so the level of animation would be simpler, but I would have liked it if they tried to experiment a bit more than just having basic face forward shots all the time. I mean, just look at the animation in Across the Second Dimension and all the creative angles within the film. And then look at Candace Against the Universe. See any difference? Overall, the animation was fine. Nothing amazing, just okay. Then we come to the song, and boy were they forgettable. The thing that I always liked about Phineas and Ferb was how they always had a good song in almost every episode, but in this movie, the songs were quite boring, bland, and simply forgettable. Not all the songs were terrible, but most of the songs were not catchy or even frankly that funny. I liked the adulting song and Meet Your Leader was okay, but the rest of the songs were not that good. To wrap everything up and look at the movie as a whole, was it enjoyable? Yes, I liked the film, but I feel like that was mostly due to me being a Phineas and Ferb fan and watching it growing up, as it allowed me to see all the neat little references and details, adding to my enjoyment. However, if this was your first ever piece of Phineas and Ferb content, I feel it would simply not be as enjoyable or interesting, as all you would see is a bland story and okay animation, not your childhood. To conclude, I would give this movie a 5 out of 10. It's a passable film. and I would only recommend watching it if you were already a Phineas and Ferb fan.
Roblox, 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 Roblox. Roblox, 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 Roblox. Roblox, 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 Roblox. Roblox, 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 Roblox.